All right, welcome everyone. We're just starting to let participants in. We're going to give folks a few minutes to get situated and find us here and make their way into the Zoom room. We'll probably get started in just a couple of minutes and we'll go over the Zoom protocols and then we'll jump into the meeting. So thanks for your patience. Grab some water and we'll get started in just a few minutes. Thanks for joining, folks. We're just giving people a couple of minutes to find their way to the Zoom room. We'll get started in just a minute or two. Okay, welcome. I'm going to go ahead and get started here and we'll just start out with the Zoom protocols. But hello and welcome to the second public meeting to inform the community about the development of a new shadeway in Borrego Springs. We know these are really challenging times for everyone and we're really thankful that you've taken a moment out of your day to join us virtually tonight. I'm Stephanie Coughlin. I'm a park project manager for County of San Diego Department of Parks and Recreation. I'll be your virtual guide today and main point of contact for developing the project. And una versión de esta presentación también está disponible en español. Vamos a poner el enlace en el chat y está dentro de la encuesta en línea. Entonces, hay una presentación también disponible en español. Okay. All right, we'll start off just going through the Zoom protocols. So we're using Zoom webinar today. All participants are muted. So if you have a question or comment, the best way to get that to us is using the Q&A feature. And that's found if you have your little drop-down menu on my computer, it's at the top of my screen. On other computers, it might be at the bottom of your screen if you hover, but you want to find that little Q&A feature. If you click that, that will open up that Q&A screen and you can type your question right in there and we'll be monitoring those throughout the presentation, but we'll be holding off on answering them until the end just so everyone can benefit from listening to the response. So go ahead and send your questions in there anytime they pop up, but we'll answer them at the end of the presentation. If you're experiencing audio problems at any time, if your internet goes out, you can call in to the number provided below. You'll just need to enter the webinar ID, but you can still join us that way. So I'll just give folks a minute to look at that. And I'll mention while we're waiting, the video is also being recorded. So we'll post that to our website as well. So folks that aren't able to attend today can look at the live version and benefit from all of the questions and answers too. So kind of they can be here even though they can't be here today right now. Okay, if you're on a mobile device, you can find the little Q&A feature at the bottom of your phone. Just click on that and then you can type in your question and submit it to us that way as well. All right, so I'll go ahead and introduce our speakers today. So I'm Stephanie Coughlin, Park Project Manager with Parks and Recreation. We're also joined by Sam Trun. Hi, Sam. We
Hello.
also have, hi. And then we have Jessica Geisler. I'm sorry, I should say Sam is with the Department of Public Works. So he's joining us. He'll be updating us on some of the pedestrian improvements that are coming your way. And then we have Jessica Geisler. She's the marketing and outreach, public outreach manager for Department of Parks and Recreation. She'll be the host for the question and answer session. So she'll be fielding all of your questions and finding the right person to send them to so that we can get your questions answered. And then we also have Andy Quinn. He's your region manager for Parks and Recreation. So he'll be answering any questions that might pop up about the park that's there. All right, so here's a roadmap for today's presentation. We'll start off by checking in with Sam from the Department of Public Works on those pedestrian improvements. And then next, I'll provide a little refresher on the Shadeway project. In case you weren't at our first public meeting, we'll do a little background on that. And then we'll take a look at the results of the online survey we circulated back in October. And then after that, we'll review 3 structure options that we put together based on your feedback from that first survey. And then last but certainly not least, we'd really love to hear from you. So if you have any questions or feedback, we'll have lots of time at the end for those questions. Okay, so with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Sam.
Well, thank you, Stephanie, for the introduction. Good evening, everybody. My name is Sam Trun. I'm a project manager with the Department of Public Works. Here today to provide a quick update on the Sunset Road Sidewalk Improvement Project. For those who were not here at the last meeting, just to refresh or to provide some background, the project scope is to install concrete curb, gutter, and sidewalk along the north side of Sunset Road, and it wraps around Christmas Circle there, and then the sidewalk will continue on the south side of Palm Canyon Road and will connect to an existing sidewalk there where Stephanie has her cursor there. Additional improvements consist of crosswalk striping and ADA curb ramps within Christmas Circle. However, after attending and presenting at the Borrego CPG meeting back in November of last year, there were quite a few comments and concerns regarding our design. As such, we had, excuse me, I'm getting pop-ups on my screen. Here. Oh, my apologies. Can you guys hear me okay still? Having some technical difficulties.
We got you, Sam. I think
okay,
we just
sorry about
had
that.
Your video start. Thanks, Sam. You're doing great.
Okay. Got it. Okay. So yeah, after attending the Borrego CPG meeting in November of last year, we had quite a few comments and concerns regarding our design. As such, we had a field meeting with a few members of the community along with CPG members. And as a result of that meeting, we went back to the drawing board and we added 2 additional features to the project. One of which is a traffic calming curb pop out along Palm Canyon Drive, and also a curb pop out right there, adjacent to Christmas Circle there, to kind of slow down the traffic. As we know, there's quite a bit of speeding going on, coming from Palm Canyon going into Christmas Circle. And additionally, we're going to be providing a flashing beacon that would be activated by a push button. So that was another feature we added to help drivers see pedestrians as they cross the crosswalk there. We also had plans to install a 3-inch tall speed table below those crosswalks that you see there. However, we consulted with the Borrego's fire department, and it will ultimately be omitted from the project due to potential delays and it can cause to emergency vehicles. So for the most part, that's the project scope. As far as the status of the project right now, we're still in 50% design, heading to 100% design at the moment. And I just went to the CPG a couple weeks ago, and we received CPG approval with the caveat that we consult with the fire department, which we did. And now I have to go back to the CPG this coming month to, I guess, get that design feature removed, and then we would be we will have full concurrence from the CPG for this particular project. As far as the schedule, the project will closely follow with the shade structure project and will be touched on later in the meeting by Stephanie. That's it for me.
Thanks,
Turn it back to you.
Sam. All right, thanks so much. Okay, so to complement the pedestrian improvements that DPW is working on, the Department of Parks and Recreation is developing a shadeway to connect Christmas Circle to Borrego Springs Park, the library complex, and the Sheriff's Department along Sunset Road. So our hope is really to enhance the pedestrian experience by providing intermittent shade for those making their way to and from these different public amenities to Christmas Circle and the downtown core. So the shadeway will consist of a series of 11 structures that will be sited along Sunset Road on the north side to combine with the pedestrian improvements that DPW is working on, and they'll be designed to maximize shade. So let's take a look at where we're headed with the project. So we had our first public meeting in October of last year to introduce the project and seek your feedback on the aesthetics of the proposed shade structures. Today marks our second public meeting, and we'll have an online survey circulating from now until May 12th. Then we'll use your feedback to finalize structure concepts and guide the development of construction documents for the project. And we hope to solicit construction bids this fall or later this winter, with construction running through the winter of 21 and 22. Okay, so in that first public meeting in October of last year, we introduced the project and we really sought your assistance deciding on what the new structure should look like. As part of this effort, we circulated an online survey from October 22nd to November 5th. We had 26 individuals from the community participate in the survey, and through the open comment section, we learned that residents would really like to see coordination in style and in color with existing features like the Art Institute, the library, and then the picnic shade structures at the park. So when we asked in the survey, which of the following structures match your vision of what the shade structures could look like, participants seemed to agree that they would either like the shade structures to be clean and simple, artistic, or match the existing structures at the park. And then when we asked about materials and colors, we asked which of the following material or color palettes would you prefer for the structures. Most community members who participated in the survey supported the use of neutral colors, followed closely by raw metal or earthy tones. Oh, and then coming up are the options we developed, but just based on your feedback, we put together 3 different structure options for you to review and comment on through the online survey that will circulate following the presentation. We'll also post the survey links in the question answer or the chat so that you can find those, but we'll have them available on the website, and I'll put the link up at the end as well, so you can find that. But we're going to use your insights and preferences that you share with us to develop one final structure concept to advance through detailed design and construction documentation. And keep in mind that the options that follow, they're just representations of what's possible with our available resources and our understanding of the local climate and conditions, but they can continue to evolve towards a final structure with your guidance. So really based on your feedback today. Okay, so let's take a look at the first option. So option 1 features a cantilevered structure with a solid roof and an artistic perforated screen to provide additional shade along the back of the structure. So we got some comments in the online feedback about some screening for pedestrians, but also providing additional shade. So we explored that. For this particular structure, a variety of finishes are available for the roof and the panels that are consistent with the desire to use neutral, raw metal, or earthy colors for the structures. There are also several different patterns to choose from for the panels, ranging from more organic to more architectural, and all result in kind of an intriguing cast shadow that would change throughout the day and provide an engaging pattern along the sidewalk. So that's one option that would probably also extend the amount of shade that is that folks are experiencing. Option 2 is more of a woven lattice structure that has ribs that wrap the side. This option, we had some comments about keeping the structures light and airy, so this option has a lighter and airier feel, but it would also provide less shade overall. As with the previous options, several different colors and finishes are available. And then the final option, option 3, was really carefully selected to match the rustic raw metal aesthetic of the Borrego Springs Library and the existing picnic structures at the Borrego Springs Park. So a zinc structure would contrast with a weathering steel corrugated roof to extend the pedestrian experience beyond the library and park complex and kind of continue the language of that raw metal and steel and weathering to this shadeway. And that's it. That's all we have. So we'll turn it over to you for questions. If you want some more background on the project, you can visit the project webpage. And then here are those 2 survey links. We'll also post them in the chat or the question and answer so that folks can just click on those and you can complete the survey. And please share it if you have friends or family, neighbors that you think might be interested in participating. Please share the link with them. We'd love to hear back from folks on how to make this new amenity really fit the needs of the community and match what aesthetic preferences people would like to see out there. So, okay, well, we'll open it up. I'll turn it over to Jessica and see if we've had any questions come in.
All right, thank you so much, Stephanie. We are just starting to get questions. I did want to share a comment we received from Rebecca regarding the CPG. We just wanted to clarify that it's the Borrego Springs Community Sponsor Group. So we've got the language correct there, and we apologize if we might have misrepresented that when it was first presented earlier. Okay, so I have a question from Bob. How many are being considered and at what cost? So Stephanie, I believe that might be a good question for you.
That's a great question. So the actual series of shade structures, they'll be intermittent, and we're looking at 11 structures. The 3 options that we've considered range in cost from $10,000 to $25,000 per structure. And that's just for the structure. So that doesn't include things like the transport to get it to the site or any of the construction and installation costs that are associated with that. So just for the structures alone, if we were just to purchase the structures, it might be anywhere from like $110,000 to $275,000 for the 11 structures.
All right, thank you so much. Our next question comes from Rebecca. Rebecca is asking, are the images and colors on SurveyMonkey as well? Great question. I'll hand that back to Stephanie.
Oh, that is a really good question, and they aren't on SurveyMonkey as well, but if you email me, I can try and share those options with you as well so that folks can look at them. We tried to stick to kind of pulling out, so I pulled out the colors that I thought were consistent with either neutral or raw metal or kind of earthy tones. So I pulled those out, but there are additional colors that are kind of on the bolder end of the spectrum. So like red and bright blue and yellow. I didn't include those because we heard in the feedback that was kind of the least preferred. But we can share those if you're interested. I can share that with you. If you just email me. So let me get my email back here, or you can call me.
Great, thanks, Stephanie. We have another budget-related question here, or comment. This is coming from Elaine. She's saying, please relay the cost is already appropriated as a continued library build-out.
Right, exactly. So the cost, so some background on it for folks, this was part of the library and it's kind of a continuation and trying to complete that overall vision of creating this core with different public amenities, the library, the sheriff's department, the park, all being connected to Christmas Circle and having this shadeway be an extension of that. So it is part of that project. It was championed, I think, by your former supervisor, Bill Horn, and it was approved back in 2018, 2019 as part of the board approved budget expenditures for capital projects. So this is part of the continuation of that vision and really just an attempt to try and complete the street. So the efforts that DPW has underway to improve the pedestrian experience are tied to the shade structures as well, trying to make it a more accessible and comfortable experience for folks that prefer to walk or for folks that have to walk, for whom car travel is not an option. So this is trying to make it more comfortable and walkable, pleasant experience for all folks.
Great, thank you. We have a couple of questions about design, but before I jump there, I just want to stick with the budget question. Bob also asked if tables were included in the prices that were shared.
If tables were included, I'm not exactly sure what Bob means about that, but the price that is quoted includes things like the finishing and the, different costs to manufacture it that are associated from the different shade structure manufacturers. But we can kind of, if you email me, Bob, we can look at the breakdown if you want to see kind of what they quoted in each of the structures.
Thank you. Karen and Chuck have a really cool recommendation here. They're saying, if possible, could you merge the metal design concept in the existing library structure with the side designs from example 1?
Yes, that's a great question. And I do know from speaking to the manufacturer of this one that that is possible. So yes, we could do something like that, maybe with core 10 or weathering steel as the panel in the back, and one of the same types of patterns. Actually, both of these companies that quoted these structures use the same pattern provider. It's Parasole, I think, is the company that manufactures the panels. So yes, both of them could have that option. So if you preferred that, we could look into that as an option. That would be something that would be really helpful to share in the survey. There's an open comment section, and I think that's an awesome idea, and that would be a good place to record that so we can make sure we capture it when we're looking at how to move forward.
Great recommendation. And can you remind all of us when that survey is due?
Yes, so the survey will be open from now until May 12th. So we have a few weeks to get comments out there and to share it with your friends and your neighbors so we can get some really good feedback on how to proceed.
Great. Thank you much. All right, we have another comment on the design. This is from Mary. It's a question. How big are the openings in the lattice version? She's concerned about people easily climbing the structure.
That is also a concern that we share. So the smaller ones, we have looked at ones where it's small enough that you can't stick a shoe in there or get to but that'll be something we'll have to test out. So we just kind of picked an example pattern, but whatever we select will have to be either small enough that you can't get a shoe in there to actually get up, or spaced out large enough so that you can't actually scale the structure. So we'll definitely keep that in mind, because we don't really want folks climbing up there and getting hurt. So, yep.
Okay, great. And I'm going to jump to another question that's related to that design there. Betsy's asking, in option 1, which side of the structure is the vertical wall? If it's on the west wall, would it create any type of security issue, or is it see-through?
That's a really good question. So the panel, because it's perforated, will be semi-see-through. So you'll be able to see through it. And then based on what we select, there's like different densities of the pattern. So it could be a little bit more open, or it could be a little bit more concealed. I think we would want it to be visible. I know the sheriff's department will probably want it to be something that you can see through. Most likely, they might alternate on which side, but probably it's going to be on the north side. So the side not facing the street.
All right. So jumping back to the seating question, Wheeldon's asking if there will be seating at each of the 11 shade structures. And then Elaine also has a comment saying that the tables along Palm Canyon Drive were funded outside of county funds. So I don't know if that's a way to pull those two questions together, or if you have any more information on what exactly will be provided within those shade structures.
So far, we've just focused on the shade structures themselves, but I know that seating came up in the last meeting as well. And I think we can certainly look into, I don't know if every structure would have seating, but at least a few structures throughout might be able to have seating. It's just something we'd have to study with the budget and then see what we can integrate in there as well. But I think that's an option we can definitely consider.
Okay. So it looks like we need to talk to Jim Wormers if we haven't already. Rebecca's saying, did Jim Wormers get in touch with you about the idea that the Art Institute might have some design ideas?
Oh, we haven't been in direct contact with Jim about design ideas, but we can reach out to and talk about these options and see what thoughts they have on those as well. We are in contact with Jim since he's a neighbor for the project, and we've been discussing kind of the placement of the structures and those kinds of things. But yeah, we can try and get some insights on design as well. We would really welcome that feedback.
Okay, sounds like from Wade, the BAI does have some design ideas too. So
okay, Maybe I wonder if we can set up, I'll reach out to both Jim and the BAI, and maybe we can set up kind of a smaller meeting just to talk about things with those groups too, since you're also neighbors. That would be great.
Okay. Okay, and one of my team members just let me know too that the Art Institute did receive all of the different surveys. So it sounds like we might have gotten some initial feedback from that. All right, so Betsy has a question here. Has there been a study that the placement and orientation of the structures will actually provide shade?
Yes, so that was part of our initial concept studies in developing the structure options. The consultant that we're working with did study the solar array and the solar orientation and how things would be best sited to maximize shade. So part of the layout that we're pursuing and the placement has to deal with maximizing shade, as much as possible on that side of the street to align with the sidewalk. And make sure that we're providing as much shade as possible throughout the year.
Okay. We don't have any more questions right now, but this could be a good time to remind the group what next steps look like, right? So we're collecting survey data right now. At what point can we review the results of that? And when is this whole thing going to happen?
Good questions. Okay, so we're collecting feedback right now until May 12th. And then we'll synthesize that feedback and we can share. We don't have another public meeting scheduled, but we can try and share the results on our website. So we might be able to put together something similar to this where we can graphically represent kind of what we've heard back from folks and summarize the feedback. And then we'll take all of that feedback and we'll use that to inform what we develop as the final structure. And we could probably share that on the website as well. We're looking to bid and award a contractor, so later this summer or fall. And we're working closely with DPW. The schedule is an estimate of when we'll be prepared to do that, but that's kind of what we're aiming for by this fall. And then with construction running into the end of this year and early next year, hopefully wrapping up by the spring or early summer of next year. So yep, that's where we're headed.
Great, thank you for that update. All right, John Wood has a question. Will this be like a shaded tunnel?
It will not be exactly like a shaded tunnel because the structures themselves will be placed intermittently, so it won't be solid. That would be, we just don't have the budget to do that, but we're trying to provide intermittent shade so you have a regular pattern of shade and respite as you walk along Sunset Road. So those 11 structures will be placed intermittently along the road.
All right, and in line with that last comment, it sounds like Ed is hoping that the decorative panels on the west side will help block that afternoon sun.
That is also our hope. So we're studying that because as the orientation changes throughout the day, it actually is really beneficial to have that side panel to cast additional shade because when the summer or the winter, when it's lower, it's helpful to catch that and get some extra shade there. So we'll try to capture that.
All right, so Rebecca has a comment here and question. Seems like the panel would provide more shade if it was facing south toward the street. Safety issues aside, could the light and airy possibility have the panel facing that way?
On the south side, we'd have to explore it a bit. I know there are visibility issues just with traffic on the south side. So I'll go back to the map so we can look at. So if we have it on the south side, there are some kind of sight lines and things that we have to keep clear for folks. So most of the structures will be kind of, the foundations will be towards the north side and then cantilevered out, but we're looking at exactly how to place that, and we'll consider whatever options we have that come forward and see if it's feasible with what we need to meet in terms of safety and visibility too for sheriff patrols and that kind of thing. So we'll just have to kind of coordinate with everybody to come to the best result.
Great, thank you. So this next question involves county libraries, and I will just throw out there that we work very closely with county library staff. It's kind of nice to have a property where a park sits up against a library and creates a really nice central spot for the community, but we work closely with them on a lot of different campaigns. So this question is appropriate. Bob is asking, since this is part of the library build out, do you know if the library plans to complete the solar hookups for electric car charging? This could be a good use of money. And I'd actually like to bring in Sam to see if he has any feedback on that. I don't know if he has any updates regarding solar hookups or electric car charging, just being part of like the road plan out there.
Yeah, as far as to my knowledge, there's DPW and CIP is not working on any solar projects or car charging stations out there as part of this project, but as far as I know.
Okay, but since this was part of the meeting, it, of course, will be recorded with our plans moving forward, and we'll certainly connect with libraries for information. Stephanie, do you have anything to add to that?
We'll look into that. I know part of our scope for the shade structures was to also look at solar capacity in the future. So all of the structures could potentially support solar if that's desired in the future. So we've looked at that for at least the structures component. I haven't heard about vehicle charging, but I know that that's kind of a new initiative, and there will be more stations expanding as pilots throughout the county. I just don't know if the library here is one of those spots, so we can look into that and see.
Great, thank you. All right, I don't have any more questions or comments. The survey links in both English and Spanish have been posted to the chat. We also have them up on our website, sdparks.org. And one of our staff members also put the direct link to all of the information about this project, which is on our development pages within sdparks.org. So feel free to click in that link and learn all about this project. As we get the results from our public meeting survey, we will post them there. And then Stephanie, can you give us a time frame for when people might want to check back to see when that information is available?
I would say that we'll close the survey on the 12th, and then we'll have probably a couple of weeks to process it and analyze it and get it ready to share with everyone. So probably towards the end of May.
End of May. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, so take a look back at that page, maybe bookmark this website if you guys can, and check back. Also feel free to reach out directly to Stephanie. She'll be able to share the latest project updates. Let me just post her email here real quick. So
yeah, you can
that over.
Email me, you can call me, whatever is more comfortable for you. And if you have ideas that pop up as well, we can discuss those related to the design or anything like that. Try and capture them in the survey, because that's kind of what we use formally to make the recommendations for what we should do moving forward. But if you have just ideas and you want to talk through them, you can call me or just send me an email too.
Perfect. Well, nothing else new has come in, so I'll hand it back to you, but just wanted to say thank you all. It's been a pleasure to help out with the Q&A portion of tonight's meeting. I am very excited for these panels and can't wait to be out visiting Borrego soon. Oh, we have one comment here from Bob. There are vehicle charge connections already as part of the library solar array. They're just not live connections. Okay, great point. We'll definitely connect with libraries.
I'm gonna write that down. Thanks, Bob. Okay. All right, I think that's all we have. So if you have anything else, feel free to contact me, and just thank you for taking some time out of your evening to join us and look at the options. We so appreciate your feedback and your participation, and we're looking forward to see what the final structure will be with all of your feedback integrated. So thank you so much, and everybody be safe and live well, and we'll be back on the project webpage with some updates about the results. All right. Okay, take care, everybody.
Bye, thank you.